Hey there guys, NexGenStriker here in order to bring you the latest Naruto fighting game out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Will Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Shikamaru be able to beat the Akatsuki and save the ninja world? Well, considering that I haven't actually played the game myself and only have this review that someone else made to go off of, I'll have to say that I have no idea what's going on. Even though I've watched up to the pain arc, I still have no idea what's going on with the series. I've never played any of the games, but I'll pretend that I do. This game is fairly good, although it is rather bland. The fighting's terrible, the characters, I don't understand their motivations or what's going on, and I clearly have no idea how to play the game or what to do. So I'm going to give the game a 6 out of 10 for lack of character development, no idea what's going on, and the fact that there's no tentacle porn. Well, I hope you guys liked that troll-tastic review I just gave you. I had to make fun of the gamers who call themselves journalists and professional game players that clearly have no idea what they're doing or what they're talking about when they play these Naruto games. So yeah, I had to poke a little fun at them. But regardless, here's my actual review of the game. I've played it for several days to get a full field view of the game. I'm not a hater and I'm not a fanboy, so I'm going to give it to you guys straight up. And what better place to start off than the menus? And I have to say, the menus are pretty awesome. Now, I know it's kind of weird to judge the menus, but I think that a menu like this is really colorful and animated, is way better than one that's just really bland. As you can see, Naruto's doing a lot of different things while you're breezing through the menus, and it just makes the game look a lot more polished, I guess I should say. It just makes it feel like it's just going to be a really fun game when the menus are just this cool. So yeah, thumbs up for the menus for CyberConnect 2. Of course, there's really only 3 things to pick from. Ultimate Adventure, which is where you're going to spend the bulk of the game. Free Battle, which is for local and tournament and practice mode. And then you've got your online battle, which is for, of course, online, battling against your friends online and doing all that stuff, yada yada yada. So, the first part of this review is going to consist of the Ultimate Adventure mode. So, let's get started there. Now, the adventure mode in this game is a lot like that of Storm 2, and it's a lot better than what was in Generations, which was really just a cheap knockoff thing. It was basically just to keep you entertained and busy before Storm 3 came out. And if you guys have played Storm 2 before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of free roaming here, there's a lot of collecting things, there's a lot of side quests for once the main quest is over. It took me probably about 15 hours to complete the main campaign or so. A lot of people complained in the past that the past Storm 2 game, there was way too much running around before you could get to do anything. And thankfully, CyberConnect 2 actually fixed that. For most of the main campaign, it actually just guides you exactly to where you need to go without you having to walk all the way there. So that's why the story seems a lot shorter, because you have a lot less places to walk to. You don't really have to do much in that respect, and it just takes you exactly where you need to go. So yeah, that's really improved, and I think the environments are pretty cool in this game as well. Another thing that I really liked is that the menus here are a lot more streamlined, and it's a lot easier to tell what exactly is going on. For example, in this, of course, you can see all of your events, and here's my favorite part, the Ninja World Timeline, which actually has events from Part 1 Naruto as well as the first part of Shippuden. As you can see, I haven't completely completed the timeline, but I'm pretty close. And I have to say, I really like this, and you no longer have to collect things for this timeline. It automatically gives it to you once you've completed the set arc, except for these first 2, which you have to find the scrolls all over the world. But those aren't part of the main campaign, so if you want to play the main campaign over again, well, there you go. All you have to do is go back, and boom, you get to play it all over again. And it's really cool. So now it's time to get into the actual story of the game, and I have to say, this is a major improvement from what they've done in past games. A lot of people liked what they really did with Storm 2, where they included boss battles and a few cutscenes here and there, but this game literally has cinematic presentation throughout the entire story of the game. There are a lot of cutscenes just like this. Of course, there are cutscenes without the text at the bottom. And of course, there are a lot more boss battles. There are secret actions with reenact scenes from the series. And honestly, this destroys the current anime in Japan, which I guess you could really say isn't saying much, considering the anime isn't really that good in my opinion. But regardless, this is a great game. They did a lot with what they did with the source material. I'm really impressed with what they did. Definitely the best story and campaign I've seen in any Naruto game that I've ever played or seen online. Now, of course, if you don't like the story of Naruto, then I don't know why you would be playing this, because it would just be kind of pointless unless you're playing it to hate on it for some reason. But yeah, with what they did, I really liked it, and it actually really invested me in Naruto again, because it had been a while since I'd really been hooked to it. So yeah, really interested, and it actually covers more than what Japan is in right now in the anime, so if you don't want spoilers from the anime in Japan, I suggest not playing the game. Of course, also take into consideration that if you've not played Storm 2, or you're not caught up past the Pain arc, then you're not really going to understand what's going on if you are, in fact, a Naruto fan. So I suggest catching up on that, and if you're not caught up, play Storm 2, because that'll really help you out there. As far as getting generations after this game's concerned, for the most part, there's really no need to get generations, so if you didn't get it before, then I would say just skip on out of it at this point. Sorry. Of course, I'm also going to be using a lot of clips from the early parts of the game so as to not spoil you too much into what's going on. I want you to experience that for yourself instead of watching what other people do online, unless you're into that. Yeah, you don't want to spoil it yourself. This game is really awesome. I also have to say one more thing. They have improved the load times for the entire game as a whole. Of course, this is on the PS3. We have to install the game, so I don't know if that affects anyone else, but the load times seem to be a little bit faster. Now that we've gotten past that and past the side events, now it's time to get into the actual gameplay and the versus aspect of the game. So as you can see, this is the versus menu of the game, and for those of you who played Storm Generations, you'll notice that the survival mode has been taken out. Now that is implemented somewhat into the actual campaign, into some of the extra missions you can play once the main campaign's over. So those of you who like survival, you'll get to play it there, but for the most part, survival is excluded from this game. Now, this isn't a big deal to me because, quite frankly, survival was kind of pointless. It was really just a way of, well, really something extra to do that was kind of boring at some point. So, if you like that, then sure, go ahead and complain about that. But for me, not really a big deal. Of course, now we get into the actual versus and the roster, which is where some people have their praises or disapprovements. Now, this is the final roster of the game. If you guys, I'm not going to go over all the characters, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled, then just try not to look too deep into who's on it. Of course, these pictures have been spread around the internet for weeks, so not too big of a surprise. And if you keep up with the anime and the stuff, you'll know for the most part who's going to be in the game. Of course, they put some fan favorites and fan demanded characters into the roster. Oddly enough, if you look down here at the bottom right, they put some of the past characters from their younger years into the game for some odd reason, but they didn't put all of them in it. So, I'm having a hard time understanding why they did that. I'm guessing to probably just make it more aesthetically pleasing that way, so that it's more evened out. But for the most part, yeah, I think the roster is pretty awesome with the characters that they've included. Now, as far as some of the weird things that they did, as you guys, if you follow the anime, you guys know that some of the previous Kage get brought back to life, and you actually fight them in the game. They have their own movesets, they have their own character art, etc., etc., but they're not playable as the character roster. As you can see, they're nowhere on here. Now, I don't understand why they did that, but I think that that's a definite down for the game. I'm sorry, but I have to rate that a little bit down for that. They have future plans for DLC, and if the DLC is free for those characters, then yes, that'll be fine. But still, I think it's a bit weird that they didn't do that, and some fans have complained that instead of putting them in, they wasted some slots with, like I said, the past Naruto characters, or the fact that they have 3 slots for Naruto and Sasuke, and etc., etc. So yeah, that is a bit strange that they did that. As far as the other ones that they left out, you know, they left out the 7 ninja swordsmen aside from Zabuza and Haku. Now that's understandable because, quite frankly, they didn't really do much from what they were shown. They could have given them movesets, but it didn't look like that they really had time to do that, so I'll forgive them for that, and for the Gold and Silver brothers. But if they did add them in later, that would be really cool if they did that. But yeah, not having the Edo Kage in here, that's a bit strange. I also find it strange that they wasted some of the slots on something like this for Choji, but as you can see, he has the exact same moves except for his awakening where he turns into butterfly mode. Again, some of their choices seem to be a bit strange. Although they did have some cool costumes for this game, like all of their Ninja War costumes, which is pretty good for the most part. Now, some people are also complaining about some of the old characters, and for the most part, they were not changed. Now, some would say that this is a big reason why that they dislike the game is because that they didn't improve the characters that were in the previous Storm games for the most part. But I will say that if you look deeper into the game and start actually playing it, you'll notice that some of the old characters did get updates. For example, Rock Lee, when he goes into his Hidden Lotus mode, now has the Hidden Lotus as one of his support moves. So yeah, they did update the characters. They didn't completely leave them. Of course, they improved some of the bugs on